Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're cracking open Never Split the Difference, this awesome book by Chris Voss.
Former FBI hostage negotiator, by the way.
Right, exactly. And that's what makes this so cool. He's taking what he learned negotiating hostage situations and showing us how to use it in everyday life.
Like when you're buying a car or asking for a raise or even just trying to get your kids to eat their vegetables.
Uh-huh, exactly. Seriously though, the core of his approach is this thing called tactical empathy, which is basically understanding the other person's emotions and using that to your advantage. Like, instead of just focusing on the logic of the situation, you're trying to tap into what they're feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you're a detective, trying to gather clues. But the clues aren't fingerprints or DNA evidence, they're emotions.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Uh,
So how do we actually do this? Like, how do we figure out what someone else is feeling in the middle of a negotiation?
well, Voss gives us a bunch of practical techniques, and they're surprisingly simple. One of the most basic is mirroring. You literally just repeat the last few words of what the other person said.
Wait, really? That's it? Just repeat what they said? Sounds kind of, I don't know, almost too simple.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but it really works. Because when you do that, you're showing them that you're paying attention, you're really listening to them, and you're trying to understand their perspective. And that builds trust, which is crucial in any negotiation.
That's interesting. I guess it is like a form of active listening, except you're not even paraphrasing. You're literally just echoing their
Oh,
words.
right, exactly. And it often makes them want to keep talking to explain themselves further, which gives you even more information to work with.
Okay, so mirroring is like the first step. What's next?
Next is labeling, which is basically putting a name to the emotion you think the other person is feeling. So you might say something like, "It sounds like you're feeling frustrated," or "It seems like this is really important to you."
So you're not arguing with them or trying to tell them they shouldn't feel that way. You're just acknowledging their emotions.
Exactly. It's like you're saying, "Hey, I see you, I get where you're coming from," and that can really disarm people,
Right.
especially if they're feeling angry or defensive.
Because it shows that you're not just focused on getting your way, you actually care about how they're feeling.
Precisely. You're creating a connection, a sense of empathy.
I like that. One of the things that really surprised me about Voss's approach is his whole thing about the power of no. Like, he actually encourages us to try and get the other person to say no, which is kind of counterintuitive, right?
Right. It's like we're all programmed to try to get people to say yes, right?
Right.
But Voss actually thinks that getting a no can be really beneficial.
In what way?
Well, because it gives the other person a sense of control. Think about it. If someone's constantly pushing you to say yes, you're going to start feeling pressured, maybe even manipulated.
Yeah, I can see that. You're like, back off, give me some space to think.
Exactly. But when you give someone the opportunity to say no, you're saying, "Hey, I'm not trying to force you into anything. You have a choice here."
So they feel empowered, which actually makes them more open to hearing what you have to say.
Right. It takes the pressure off and it creates a more collaborative atmosphere.
And how do you actually do that? Like, how do you get someone to say no without, just flat out asking them if they want to do what you want?
Well, you could phrase it as a question. Like, let's say you're trying to negotiate a lower price on something. Instead of saying, "Will you take $50 for it?" you could say something like, "Would you even consider going that low?"
Okay, so you're not demanding, you're just inquiring.
Right. And they might say no to that, but that's okay because even a no can be a starting point for a conversation.
I get it. It's like, even if they say no, you've opened up a dialogue.
Exactly. And once you've got that dialogue going, you can start exploring other possibilities. Maybe there's some other concession you can offer, or maybe they have something else in mind.
So we've talked about mirroring, labeling, and the power of no. What other tricks does Voss have up his sleeve, especially for those really tough negotiations?
Oh, he's got a whole bunch. One that I find really interesting is the accusation audit.
Accusation audit. Sounds kind of scary.
It's not as bad as it sounds. Basically, it's about anticipating the other person's objections and addressing them head on before they even have a chance to bring them up.
So instead of waiting for them to attack you, you're kind of disarming them by bringing up their concerns yourself.
Exactly. It's like you're saying, "Look, I know you might be thinking this, and that's okay. Let's talk about it."
And that shows that you're not afraid to be vulnerable, that you're not trying to hide anything, which can actually build trust.
Absolutely. It's like you're taking the wind out of their sails before they even have a chance to set sail.
I like that.
Okay.
What else?
Well, there's the late night FM DJ voice, which sounds kind of funny, but it's actually a pretty effective technique.
Wait, the late night FM DJ voice? Like, all smooth and sultry?
Yeah, kind of like that. The idea is that the way you use your voice can have a huge impact on the emotional tone of a negotiation.
So if you're getting all worked up and yelling, it's just going to escalate the situation.
Exactly. But if you speak slowly and calmly with a low, resonant voice, it can actually help to de-escalate things. It projects a sense of authority and control.
So instead of getting all hyped up, we should try to channel our inner Barry White.
Exactly. Think smooth, think calm, think in control.
Okay, that's a good one. Anything else?
One more that's really important is the concept of the black swan.
The Black Swan. As in, like, the movie.
Not quite. In negotiation, a black swan is a piece of information that you don't know you don't know. It's something that could completely change the game if you could just find it.
Oh, so it's like a hidden piece of the puzzle that could unlock everything.
Exactly. And Voss's point is that we should always be looking for those black swans. They might be hiding in plain sight, or they might require some digging to uncover. But if you can find them, they can give you a huge advantage.
So it's not just about the information you have, it's about the information you don't even know you're missing.
Right. It's about being curious, asking questions, and always being open to new information.
So to kind of wrap things up here, it seems like Voss's approach to negotiation is all about going deeper, about really understanding the psychology behind the interaction.
That's exactly. It's not just about logic and reason. It's about emotions, motivations, and even subconscious biases. It's about understanding how people think and feel and using that understanding to create win-win situations.
And ultimately, it's about building better relationships, right? Because when you can connect with someone on an emotional level, you're more likely to find common ground and reach an agreement that works for everyone.
Absolutely. It's not about manipulation or trickery. It's about genuine empathy and connection.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. How can you apply these techniques in your own life? It doesn't have to be a high-stakes business deal or anything like that. It could be as simple as negotiating with your roommate over who does the dishes.
Or talking to your boss about a raise. Or getting your kids to eat their vegetables.
Or convincing your partner to watch the movie you want to see.
Exactly. These principles can be applied to all sorts of situations.
So we encourage you to go out there and experiment, see how these techniques work for you, and who knows, maybe you'll even discover a few black swans of your own along the way.
Happy negotiating.
Until next time.